pleased to be joined by new Pine Bluff High School head football coach Micheal Williams. Coach, welcome to the newsroom.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Look, you've been on staff for a few weeks now, and you all are getting ready for preseason camp, but you're doing a little bit of practicing right now. What exactly can you do before you all get started next Monday?
Well, good thing is Arkansas has rules where we can do team camps and 7-on-7. So tomorrow we actually going to a team camp at Joe T. Robinson in Little Rock, and then we'll be having a team 7-on-7 in Whitehall on Wednesday. And so those are some of the things that we've been doing, trying to get prepared for the season right before August 1st.
You know, one thing about having a team camp with Whitehall, you're a new head football coach, Ryan Mallett, who we'll talk to a little bit later from Whitehall. He's a new head coach. And for the first time, Pine Bluff and Whitehall are going to be in the same conference. How beneficial do you think that team camp is going to be for you all to maybe get to see Whitehall?
It's very beneficial. We actually saw them last week, and we ended up having a good camp. It was a lot of competition. I think is a great thing because we don't really know the teams. So by being able to do it then, you kind of get a feel for the teams and what we need to do coming up and during the season.
Now, when you played at Pine Bluff High School and you played before your graduation in 2002, Pine Bluff was in the largest classification. Yes. Now they're Class 5A, so you're joining the league. I think that has Robinson and Valonia and some other teams, so you're having to get familiarized with those conferences. Do you feel, with those teams in the conference, is there a little bit more pressure, you think, that you're embracing to be able to, or just win the conference or get back to the playoffs?
Well, there's always going to be pressure to win the conference every year. I don't want a job that don't have pressure behind it. I don't want a job where I can just sit back and cruise. I want some pressure. One of my coach at Duncanville said, I left the job I was at because I was too comfortable. So I want somewhere I ain't comfortable. So I think it's a great situation where we trying to push to win the conference every year. We're trying to push to win state every year. That's what we're trying to do.
What did you see? And we'll talk a little bit. Well, actually, I'll tell you what. We're going to go back just a little bit into your history because for folks who don't know Micheal Williams, I mean, you're a former Pine Bluff High School running back. I think you played under Joe Hart.
Yes.
Did you play any college football?
I did play college football. I played at Paul Quinn College. The old gunslinger came back and got me. He started a program there.
Okay, right. And so you were able to do that. And then I know you had spent a few years coaching in Texas. Yes. And you mentioned a program, Duncanville. Yes. And I know you may not want to remember this game, but you see, I worked in Port Arthur for 5.5 years. The greatest high school football game I ever saw, was the game you all played against North Shore. That was kind of like a Dallas versus Houston sort of thing. Duncanville from the Dallas area, North Shore from the Houston area. First of all, tell me about coaching on that Duncanville team and what allowed you all to be successful, and how did that shape your coaching philosophy that you're bringing to Pine Bluff?
Right. So a team like that is, you got great talent, but you have to be able to organize that talent to be able to play for you. It kind of reminds me of Pine Bluff. We got a lot of talent, but that talent has to be honed in to be able to play for you, to be able to be disciplined, to be able to do the right things at the right time. That kind of cultivated what I'm doing now. With that team right there, Coach Samples, he had us basically being the head coach of our position group. So I was receivers head coach. So I took advantage and took to those receivers as we did everything like I was head coaching the whole team. And that right there kind of cultivated what I do now.
Right. And just to give people an idea of what made that championship game so great, you all had scored, I think, with 1 or 2 minutes to go, and then North Shore came right back and on this bomb, beat you all right at the buzzer, things of that nature. But I wonder how many D1 athletes, at least out of Duncanville, came out of that team.
That team right there, I think we may have had about 13. We had probably about 30. Well, you know what? We had 12. I remember we had 12. We had a couple of them, and this is the sad part about it. We had a couple of them that was D1 athletes, but didn't have the grades. That's why I already talked to my kids about grades, because the two guys that didn't have a grades, they were beasts, but they just didn't have the grades to go D1. So it's a good thing they got a chance to go JUCO. Now they're going towards D1 now.
Well, that's good. And before you even became a coach, Well, I think when you were still in high school, you were a nurse's aide over at Jefferson Regional.
Right.
How does somebody go from nurse's aide to really football coaching wasn't your chosen profession?
No, it wasn't my chosen profession. I actually thought I was going to go be a medical doctor into the medical field. So I kind of got into it. My mom's a nurse, so I kind of got into it at the time. And I always loved people, especially older people. And I always was around my grandmother and them. So that was something that I chose to do. And as I was going through the profession, I was like, I'm going to go to med school. And that's how I got my feet wet in the nursing profession.
Mm-hmm. And going from nursing profession, now you got a degree in science, I think, or in chemistry?
Yes, I got a degree in biology and a minor in chemistry. And so what I did was I applied to med school, I applied to chiropractic school, and I even applied to dentistry school. The first thing that I said, wherever come first, I'm going. So I actually went to chiropractic school for a year and kind of liked it a little bit, but I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And it kind of scared me that, the profession was hit and miss. If you had parents in that profession, you good. But starting the profession, it was kind of hit and miss. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And lo and behold, I had a big job offer at Frito-Lay.
Mm-hmm. Now, nobody in their right mind would think, okay, Frito-Lay has chemists, but I mean, how else are you supposed to know the composition of a potato?
Exactly.
Exactly. And corn, to make the potato chips and the corn chips and things of that nature. What takes a person from being a chemist at Frito-Lay with all those tasty snacks to being a football coach?
Well, a football coach was always in my mindset because I know I was a football coach on the field. And so what I did was my last year at Paul Quinn, I did a little GA situation where I'm like, man, this is something I can do, but it wasn't paying no money. So therefore, when I went to Frito-Lay and after everything went happen, I went to Frito-Lay, I was able to be on the sodium content for the Dorito project. Well, after the Dorito project happened, and I was
Let me stop you right here. The Dorito project.
Yeah.
Explain that.
So, Taco Bell have Dorito tacos, right? Well, they had to do a composition to be able to get the tacos not to break. Oh. So therefore, I was on the sodium content to make sure it wasn't too salty, and then you have somebody else that's on the pressure content where try to make sure the pressure can hold up on its own. So that's the project that I was on, and then once the project over, they lay you off until something else come up. So then the pretzel project came up. I was on pretzels for a little while, but that cycle of working and getting laid off, it kind of got to me. Matter of fact, right after that last time I got laid off, I got a chemist job at Mary Kay. And so I was doing makeup content for a second. And that was a temporary job. It went for 3 months. Loved the job actually, but they just wasn't hiring anybody permanent at the time. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go get into coaching.
Mm-hmm. At what point did you know you needed to come back to Pine Bluff High School?
Well, so after the last time the job came open, right before Coach Stinson got the job, I thought about applying for the job then. I wanted to come back. I was ready, but I wasn't quite ready to give up, the luxury stuff that I had. I'm not gonna lie to you, the pay is totally different. And so I was like, I don't know if I want to give up, the pay. This next time it came back open, I was like, well, God must be trying to tell me something. I'm looking at, the landscape on how we used to be like the top dogs and we wasn't the top dogs anymore. I'm like, I think I can come back and help that.
When you grew up in Pine Bluff, and look, I had the opportunity to grow up in the Dollarway School District, and I saw the great Dollarway teams of the 80s and 90s. Right. You grew up watching the Pine Bluff High teams of the 80s and 90s, and you became a Zebra yourself. Yes, sir. What do you learn from the era of Marion Glover, who I know you didn't play under, you played under Joe Hart, but what do you learn having watched those teams and having played under Coach Hart that maybe you hope to instill back at Pine Bluff High School?
Well, one thing about it that I did notice, because I did play under Coach Glover, because Coach Glover was coaching the high school, but his system was all the way down in middle school. So from the time I was at Southeast, we were in the wishbone. We already knew. So I could have, at Southeast, I can go to the practices and we can run in the same thing from Southeast all the way to the high school. So what I learned from that is you have to build from that point to be able to have a good team on the varsity. So right now, that's what I got. I got 7th, 8th, 9th graders over there. They're actually getting coached by the varsity coaches. That right there helps us out right there. So when they get ready to come up to the varsity level, we're not reteaching something that we shouldn't have to reteach. We're able to hit the ground running. Those are the things that I kind of learned that makes us to be a successful team. Coach Glover, he always had a system where from the top to the bottom, that's where we're going to be. Now, Coach Hart, what I learned from him is character. He was a huge character guy. One thing that Coach Hart that sticks with me that he always said, I'd rather see him say, there he go, than there he lay. That was one of the things that always stuck with me. I was like, I'll tell my team that. Because that is the case. You know, crime rates and everything like that, you don't have to be a part of it. I know people may think you're a coward because you back down, but I'd rather see you, there you go, than there you lay.
Right. Tell me about learning and adjusting to your new guys, and by new guys, your football players here at Pine Bluff High School who are learning to have the success or aim for the success that maybe you had as a player.
Well, so the great thing about these guys, they were already talented. That wasn't a problem with these guys. These guys are, I mean, talented. I've seen some of the best athletes in the world at Duncanville. These guys match up to those guys pretty good. Depth-wise, we don't have it, that what they had at Duncanville, but as far as athletes-wise, oh, it matches up good. So me coming in, I'm letting them know, you're the same type of kid that I coached up there. What makes you different from them? Nothing. The only thing that makes you different, that you're in Arkansas, that they're in Texas. So therefore, they already know, hey, coach is committed to us. Coach is doing everything he can to put us in the light. And that's why they connect to me pretty fast.
Let me flip back to Texas, because before you were on Duncanville staff, I think you were a head coach at one of the Dallas high schools, I think W.T. White High School.
So I got a chance to work my way up at W.T. White High School. I was a freshman coach starting off as a freshman coach. I worked my way up to offensive coordinator to assistant head coach. And then finally I got a chance to get an interim job at head coach. When they didn't hire me, that's actually what made me go to Duncanville, because they didn't hire me. And actually it was a blessing that I didn't get hired, because I was able to be in that game that you was talking about, even though we lost with 3 seconds on the clock, but that's one of the greatest games in Texas history. And I can tell my kids, I was coached in that game.
Yeah, right. But there was something you said that may have been the most rewarding year you had in your coaching career was over at W.T. White, and there was a reason for that. I think did y'all win a game that year?
I can tell you the reason for that. That year we went 0-10.
Right.
We went 0-10 off that team, but the kids showed up every single day and played football. No one quit. Every single game they battled. It wasn't no attitudes on that team. It was everybody was just trying to fight. We were just in a bad district where everybody was good. Now, the good thing about that team, everybody knows we fought hard. 15 kids off that 0-10 team got scholarship offers. At the time, I was a recruiting coordinator. That's why it was so rewarding to me. We didn't win a game, but the kids won. Sometimes wins is just not on the field. Sometimes wins is with the kids in the classrooms, things like that. That's what we want to win. We're going to win somehow. I don't know which way we're going to win. I hope it's on the field, but we're going to win somehow this year.
What are you looking forward to the most from this season? This is the first year, at least in recent memory, that Pine Bluff and Whitehall and Watson Chapel are all in the same conference. Yeah. I can't say I envisioned the day that was going to happen,
right?
But I know that's a talking point. You're seeing new teams. What are you looking forward to the most out of this season? Your first year helming the Pine Bluff Zebras.
The most out of this season I'm looking for is guys to go out there and compete, give me their all. Whatever the outcome happens, it's the outcome. But as long as they give me their all and they compete, I know it shouldn't be no reason in the world that we shouldn't win on the field. I've seen Watson Chapel. We actually had 7-on-7 with Watson Chapel as well. And I feel like we match up pretty well with all these teams. It's just a matter of who's going to have the most discipline going forward.
Gotcha. What else do you want people to know about the Pine Bluff Zebras this year?
I know the Pine Bluff Zebras are back. We're back. We're gonna make sure we have discipline on the field. We're gonna make sure we celebrate each other, and we're gonna also, most of all, make sure we give God the glory.
Coach, thanks a lot for your time. I can't wait to see what you all are going to do on the football field and away from it as well.
Yes, sir.
Micheal Williams, Pine Bluff High Football. Appreciate the time.
Appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Ryan Mallett, head football coach at Whitehall High School. Hey, thanks for joining us here in the newsroom. Coach, how's it been these last few months?
It's going good. We've getting a lot of work done, especially this summer. A lot of conditioning, a lot of training. It's getting pretty hot, so I'm glad we're going pretty early.
Yeah, but you know what? That heat, sometimes coach can use that to a player's advantage condition-wise. How are you managing that?
Yeah, I mean, we do a pretty good job about setting the week up before it starts. So we're not trying to kill the kids, obviously, but we're trying to make sure they're ready to go to be able to go 4 quarters. Come here in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm. We just got done talking with Micheal Williams, head football coach at Pine Bluff, and you all have gotten to know each other through team camps and things of that nature. I know a lot of people are really anticipating the fact that in this county alone, there are 3 new head football coaches to their programs who are going to be in the same conference. How excited are you to be in a conference with Watson Chapel and Pine Bluff and 3 head coaches at that? It's going to be a chess match every week, it seems like.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they're obviously tough opponents traditionally. Also, I do think it's going to be fun to see it come down towards the end of the season because we're all really close in proximity. All 3 got new coaches, so it's going to be interesting to see just how the kids react to us.
Right. What are the things that you had to focus on having had almost a full off season, but haven't had time to see the guys work out in the weight room and then have a chance to be with them on the field for the spring and the summer? What are some of the things that are, because Whitehall is, and just to remind our fans, Whitehall is coming off a 12-2 or an 11-3 season, went to the state championship game, ran into a very good Pulaski Academy football squad, but 28 seniors were lost from that team. What do you have to put in to give Whitehall an opportunity to get back to the championship game?
Well, right now we just had to work on the details, the little bitty details, especially when we get to our offense and the defensive calls. It's new to them. Both systems are new to our guys, so it's taking a little time to learn. Now, I think in the past month, this month of July, we've really taken some strides in the right direction, and I like what I'm seeing from them.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Now, Coach, you were, this time last year, you were offensive coordinator at Mountain Home High School. Obviously, you heard of Whitehall by them going to the championship game. But what drew you to Whitehall, especially? Because, Mountain Home they're a surgeon program. They're in a good area. And to come from North Arkansas to Southeast Arkansas like that, I have a feeling it's more than just Whitehall's success that drew you here.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. It's the tradition. The tradition that is what I like about the program. I think it's been since '87 since they got to the championship game before last year. Now, anytime you lose 28 seniors, it's going to be hard to reload. But that's what we got to do. We got a bunch of young guys. I think we only have 8 seniors so far this year. So we're going to be really young. So it's just like I was saying earlier, the attention to details and just like how we coach and how we want it is something that we're instilling in those guys. And so just getting ready to go.
Going to have a chance to go back into your football history and then look at your coaching staff and then maybe look at the schedule here. You're from Texarkana, Texas, I believe.
Arkansas.
You are from Texarkana, Arkansas.
Played in Texas.
Oh, you played in Texas. Okay,
yeah.
All right, gotcha. So you played at Texas High, and I think you won a state championship there, or?
Nah, they won it when I was in 8th grade, but we went to the semifinals 2 out of the 4 years.
Right. How did that set the course for the football career you would have, as a coach as a player and then later on as a coach?
Well, I think, I had really, really good coaches from a very early age, junior high on up, and my former coordinator's a head coach now in Texas. He's won 8 of the last 12 state championships. So I kind of been through and see how the programs are run in the right way. I think that's what kind of got me. I knew I wanted to coach eventually. I just didn't know how long my career would last. So, it was something I always wanted to do.
Right. And then you played collegiately at the University of Michigan and then University of Arkansas and really helped restore the tradition of Razorback football. I think you won a bowl game and then you went to the Cotton Bowl one year. We can make this connection here. One of your targets, Jarius Wright, is now on your staff.
Yep.
He was a stud at Warren High School. Now he's back here on your staff. How did Coach Petrino shape your mind when it comes to offense?
Well, the first thing when I first got to Arkansas, the first thing that we learned for the first 2 or 3 weeks was defense. That was it. He taught us defense. He taught them what taught us what he calls everything, how he wants it called. And then we were able to get into the playbook and as far, put in play action, all that stuff. But, he was a really great offensive mind. So I learned a lot there.
Right. And then you were able to go into the NFL. I think you backed up Tom Brady over in New England, and then you made some starts as a Houston Texan. When you're mentoring kids, when you're coaching kids, I mean, you're one of the, I don't want to say chosen, but one of the few 1% of players, who get to not only play Division I football, but they get to go into the NFL. How do you mentor a kid who just wants to get the most out of his high school athletic career and, still got to navigate, being a good student and a student athlete and have a chance to, go to college, even if they don't play college football, but just have a good life after that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's important. This is not just about football. There's private lives, there's personal stuff, that kids go through. Kids are, it's a different day and age from when I was that age, obviously, I mean, you had the COVID year, you have all these things, there's all these things. And so just to be able to, you got to be able to listen to them, and then you got to be able to give them some advice. And I think that the staff we put together is one of those really good, on the field and off the field kind of good staffs.
Yeah. You're a young coach at that. You're, 34, 35 years old?
34, yeah.
You're 34. And so, these guys are coming off a guy, who I think is young at heart, but a wise mind in football, Bobby Boulding. They're coming from that system into yours right there. Do you feel the players, in a way, are being able to relate to you pretty well because of your youth as a coach?
I do think so, because if you know me, I'm just a big kid, too. A lot of times, but you're able to have fun with them, and it's not all go. You can joke around with them after practice, and they get that, but they know once we step in between the white lines, we're focused on ball.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. So, what are you looking forward to the most from this season?
I'm just ready to get started. I'm ready for next Monday, the first day of practice. So it's always fun. And as a coach now, instead of a player, you see how much work those guys put in, and then they go out and get a win on Friday, and just, because you know what it feels like because you've done it before too most of the time. So it's just fun to see. It's like a proud parent, when they go out there and do what they're supposed to do.
What have you been able to focus on during the summer that you don't have to focus on come next Monday?
Well, I think it's just repetition. Like I said, the new system, it's different than what it was for them before. So being able to just be able to spit it like the quarterback, it's got to spit out the play. The receivers got to know which side they're on. I don't know. It's just, I think we're compared to the spring, it's a night and day difference. We were talking about that as a staff earlier today. I mean, it took us a while to line up in the spring. It just did because it was new to them. The formations were new, the plays were new to them. So, I think now we're kind of over that hump. Now it's where we can go play fast.
Are you spread oriented?
We're everything. We do a little bit of everything. Yeah, we're pretty multiple.
Yeah, so they would probably have to learn more than maybe they did in the recent past. So now you don't have to name names or anything, but I bet you have some maybe position races going on at each position, especially maybe at the quarterback position.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, right now we're rotating, and at the receiver position, we're rotating between 8 to 12 guys constantly, because we don't want guys to have to go both ways all the time. We got to give some guys a break. Offensive line, I'm high on the offensive line right now. We got some big old guys out there. So, we got to be able to run the football. Everybody thinks we're probably just going to come out here and start slinging it around, but, I'm a balanced guy. I like to be 60-40, 50-50.
Gotcha. You're one of those guys that, hey, the run game sets up the pass game for you all day.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, gotcha. So, tell me a little bit about your defense.
So we're moving into a 3-4 scheme. Coach Hunter Vincent's coming over from Magna Cove. He's a defensive coordinator. I'm really impressed with our secondary so far. We got one guy that played last year, came back. Ben Reddix is playing corner. We got a lot of speed back there. I really like our young linebackers. We got some guys that get to the football, and when they get there, they're not in a good mood. So I've been impressed with those guys too.
Yeah. You mentioned something about, the guys not having to go both ways as much. Now, one thing about the 2021 Bulldogs, and I think what made them special is they went both ways a lot of times, and they were able to get to the championship game doing that. Do you have more depth this year so that kids don't have to do that? I know you just mentioned you don't want to have them to go both ways all the time.
Right. I mean, I think we'll be okay depth-wise. Got to stay healthy. Anytime if you have injuries, that's always going to hurt. But I think just staying healthy, and I think we'll be able to, play a lot of guys, not just, 11 or 22. I think we'll get a lot of guys in the game.
Mm-hmm. What else do you want people to know about the Whitehall Bulldogs?
Come out and find out. We can't wait for the first home game. We try to pack the stadium, and then hopefully we travel really well. That first game at Sheridan is a rivalry game, so we got to be ready to go.
Gotcha. Coach, that's it for me. Thanks very much, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right.